Good morning, everyone. And sorry for the interruptions. This is the first time I'm going live. I'm doing live stream, so bear with me for a few interruptions. Before we start, I would like to ask you if you can hear me and see the screen properly. Just notify me on the chat. Okay. The I will I will give the link for the paper in the description of the video after I finish this stream, so that you can download it or I will do it right now so that you don't have to wait for it. Just give me a couple of minutes so that I can give you the link for the paper I'm solving right now so that you can download them. Here. Okay, I'm just trying to share the link for my paper so you don't have to search for it. So here I've given you the link. You can download the paper, and I would recommend you to start solving it by yourself before you watch the solution. You can pause the video and you can solve it, uh, and then we can resume it. Okay. And I will also attach the solution paper also to the description after I finish solving the paper. So I hope this is okay. Now let's begin without any further delays. This is the foundation paper one where we are solving this without calculator. I will be going a little fast for first few questions as I believe uh, they are like comparatively straightforward and easy ones. So the first question here says, okay, before we begin, I would like to also clarify here that this is not a teaching session. I'm not teaching any concepts here. It is more like a tutor who is guiding you how to solve a question or exam paper. So I'm assuming that the ones who are viewing my video already know all these concepts. So it's like a review with them. So the first question here says, find a quarter of 20. So if I divide 20 in 5 parts, I have like 5, 5, 5, and 5. They all add up to 20. A quarter will be one part out of all these 4 parts. So a quarter is 5. 3/10 as a decimal is 0.3. Write down the value of under root 36. 36 is a square number. We get it by multiplying 6 times 6. So the square root of 36 is 6. Write down the first two multiples of 7. So 7 times 1 gives you 7. 7 twos is 14. These are the first two multiples of 7. 91% of counters in a bag are red. What percentage of counters in the bag are not red? So how many of them are not red? You have to take away 91 from 100. So that's a 9%. The accurate scale drawing shows a lorry. The scale of the drawing is 1 centimeter represents 2 meters. So 1 centimeter on paper is equivalent to 2 meters in real. Work out the length of the lorry in real. So for finding the real length of the lorry, first we need to measure the length on paper. So here it looks like you need to be as accurate as you can. It looks it's 7 or 6.9, I would say, or 7. We can take it as 7. So 7 centimeters is how many meters? 7 times 2 gives me 14 meters. So this is 14 meters is the length of the lorry in real. Dylan chooses at random a letter from the word circle. On the probability scale, mark with a cross the probability that Dylan chooses the letter C. So how many C are there in the word circle? We see there are 2 of them out of a total 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Total 6 letters. So the probability is 2/6 or 1/3. You need to show where is that number on the number line, on the interval given here. So we see the interval between 0 and 1 it's been divided into 6 equal parts. So 2/6 will be, this is 1/6, this will be 2/6. On the probability scale, mark with a cross the probability that Dylan chooses the letter B. Now in the word circle, we don't see the letter B, so it's an impossible event. So its probability will be 0. So this is the probability on the scale. Harsher buys 2 loaves of bread for 1.10 pounds each, 1 block of cheese for 2.35 pounds, and 2 identical packs of meat. Harsher pays with the 10-pound notes. He gets 95p change. Work out the cost of 1 pack of meat. So 2 loaves of bread for 1.10 each. For 2 it will be 2.20. And a block of cheese is 2.35. So that's a 4.55 in total for these 2 items. And for 2 identical packs of meat, we have to find that. And he pays 10 pound and he gets back 95p. So getting back 95 from 10, you need to take away 95p from 10. You get, so this is 9. Okay, this is 10, 9. So 9 take away, this is 5, 0, 9. So he actually paid 9.05, and from that if you take away the cost for 2 loaves of bread and a pack of cheese, that will be, so you need to take away 4.55 from this. So you have 0, this is 8, 10, take away 5, and 450. So this is the cost for 2 packs of meat. You have to find the cost of 1 pack of meat. So that will be, you need to divide 450 by 2 to get the cost of 1 pack of meat. So 450 divided by 2 gives you 2 goes in 4 2 times, and then there is a decimal, 2 goes in 5 2 times, and there is this 5. 2.25 pounds is the cost of 1 pack of meat. On the circle below, draw a radius. Radius is the line which connects the center of the circle to the point on the circumference. So you can draw it at any point. Let me make it, it has to be straight. So that's a radius. On the circle, draw a chord. A chord connects any 2 points on the circumference. If the chord passes through the center, it's a diameter. We give it a special name, but it wants you to draw a chord. So I'm just connecting any 2 points on the circumference. So that's a chord. You could have drawn it at any other location as well. On the grid below, draw a trapezium. A trapezium will have a pair of parallel sides and all the, like it's a quadrilateral with none of the sides are equal there. So you can, I'm using a ruler to draw this. Suppose if these are the pairs of parallel sides, well, it hasn't mentioned about any dimensions, so You can draw it of any length of your choice. Suppose if this is how I draw, or you could have drawn it at any other orientation as well. Work out 245 times 37. You can use the normal multiplication method to solve this, or you can do it like you can use the repeated addition. So 245, you can split it as 240 and 5, and 37, you can split it into 30 and 7. And then if I try to find the sum of them, so first I need to times them. So 30 times 200 gives me 6,000. 30 times 40 is 1,200. 30 times 5 is 150. 7 times 200 is 1,400. 280, 35. And then I can add all these. So the sum of these two will be 0047. This will be 0,841,581. And then the final will be, you need to add them all to get the final total. So 7400, 1480, and 185. So when you add them all, you get 5, 16, 10, and then 9. So 9,065 is the product of these two numbers. The next question says you need to divide 570 by 15. So 570 divided by 15. I can simplify this fraction. So we know 57 goes in 3 and 15 also goes in 3. So you can divide them, the numerator and denominator, by 3. So you get 3 goes in 5 once, and then we have 2 remaining. 3 nines is 27, and then 3 fives is 15. Now you can simplify it further by dividing with 5. You have 5 goes in 19, 5 threes is 15, 5 eights is 40, and there is this 5 goes in 5 once. So the answer is 38. Here is a number machine, the input, and these are the operations, and then you get the output. Find the output when the input is 2. So if you plug in 2 here, what will be the output? So the first thing, it goes in here. So 2 is added to 5 to get 7. And then 7 times 8 is 56. So 56. The output is 56. There is another question, similar thing here. Find the output when the input is -3. So if you plug in -3, let me use another color here. So if you plug in -3 here, what's the output you get? So again, we do the same operations as we are going in the same direction. So -3 is added to 5 to have 2. And then 2 times 8 gives you 16. So the answer or the output here is 16. Find the input when the output is 64. Now here it says the output is 64. You have to find the input. So here we have to go in the reverse direction. So all the operations will be reversed, or in terms of like we have to find the inverse of this operation. So if you plug in 64, instead of timesing it with 8, you have to divide by 8 here. So 64 divided by 8 gives you 8. And then you need to, instead of adding 5, you need to take away 5 because we are going in the reverse direction. We have to do the reverse operations. So you need to take away 5 from 8 to have 3 as the output, or in other words, here we get the input should be 3. So the answer is 3 here. Here is a different number machine. So we have the input is 3, the output is 18. So if the input is 3, we get the output is 18. And there is this missing operation here. We need to figure out what goes in here. So first thing is we need to times it by 2. So 3 2s gives you 6. Now what do you need to do to 6 to get 18? Well, you can times it by 3 to get 18, or you can like add 12 to get 18. So any of these two operations are accepted for this particular question. Okay, let me... Sorry about that. Okay. The next question here is, the table shows information about the favorite pets of students in year 7 and 8. So these are the favorite pets for students for these 2 years. You need to draw a suitable diagram to show this information. So I'm going with a bar charts here because I have the the animals or the favorite pets on the to be represented on the x-axis, and the number of students you can represent on the y-axis. And for each year you need to draw a separate bar. So to differentiate the bars, I'm using the key here. I'm going with different colors, or we can we can also do like one of them like year 7 you can shade, and year 8 you can keep it the way it is, like the plain one. So the bars can be kept plain, or you can use different colors. So I don't think it's allowed for you to use colors in the exam, so we will go with the shading and keeping it one of the bars to be like the plain one. So we have, first we need to represent the informations here. So we have dogs here. Make sure you take enough space. So for 2 bars, and then I'm giving 2 spaces, then cat, and then 2 spaces. We have, what else we have here? Rabbit and hamster. So and here goes in hamster, right? And then on the y-axis I can, what's the scale we have here? Like the maximum number of students is 15. So yeah, I can have like each one of them for 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15. That's it, right? Okay, let me write these numbers here so that I don't have to scroll again. 8 2 and 5, and this is for year 7. Year 8 I have 10 13 6 and 1. All right, so let me use ruler to draw the straight line. So for the dogs, the first one is 15. There are 15 of them who likes the pet as dog. So I will draw a bar here. Oops. Well, this is better. And the number of year 8 students who like dog were 10 of them. So I will draw another bar. Well, my hand is shaking a lot. That's okay. And the next one is cat. There are 8 of them for year 7. And 13 for year 8. The next is there are 2 for year 7 and 6 for year 8 for rabbit. So there are 2 of them. For year 7 and year 8, there were 8 who liked rabbit. And for the hamster, there were 5 from year 7. And 1 of them from year 8. And then I need to shade for the year 7. Oh, so let me use this. So just so that I can differentiate between year 7 and year 8. So here it goes in like this, right? So here I've represented the information. Well, you could have drawn bars of different thickness, like you could have taken slightly different approach here, and that's totally okay as far as it's accurate. All right, moving on to the next question. You have these 2 fractions, you need to add them. To add fractions, we need to make sure the denominators are made same, or we need to find its like LCM. But here we see the number 12 and 3. So we can get a common factor here. Like 3 times 4 gives me 12. So I can times the numerator and denominator by 4. So that I get the common denominator as 12. Now this is 7 is added to 4 times 1 gives me 4. 4 is added to 7. 11 out of 12 is the answer. Work out 2/5 times 3/8. Answer should be in the simplest form. So here we can multiply the numerators together and denominators. When we are multiplying the fractions, we don't see that the denominators have to be same. We just, it's straightforward approach. So either we can multiply and then simplify, or I can simplify in the beginning itself. So 2 goes in 8 4 times. I can do it like this. So there's 1 and then 1 3s and 5 4s is 20. So the answer is 3 out of 20. Solve the equation x over 5 take away 2 is 4. What is the value of x? So here we need to make x as a subject of the equation here. So to do that, I need to get rid of 2 here. So I add 2 on both sides. So I get rid of the 2 here. I have x over 5 equals 4 is added to 2 to get 6. And then I can times 5 on both sides to get rid of the 5 here. So we have x equals 30. The answer is 30. Another equation where we have these brackets, we need to expand the term on the left side so that I get rid of the brackets here. So I multiply every term here with the terms inside the brackets. 3 times 7y is 21y. 3 2s is 6, and there is a plus or the addition operation here. This is equal 27, and then I need to get rid of 6. So take away 6 on both sides. I have 21y remaining on the left side, and there is 21 again. So 27 take away 6 is 21. So the y is 21, take away over 21 is 1. The next question, 2 kgs of oranges cost 450 pounds and 3 kg of oranges and 3 kg of bananas. The combined cost is 9.15. Work out the cost of 1 kg of bananas. So to get the cost of 1 kg of banana, we need to first find how much is the cost of 1 kg of orange. So 2 kg is for 450. 1 kg will be 450 divided by 2. So if you divide this by 2, you get 2 goes in 4 2 times, 2 there's decimal. So 2.25 is the cost of 1 kg of orange. Now it says the combined cost of 3 kg of orange. So 3 kg of orange, 1 kg is 2.25. So 3 kgs will be 3 times 2.25. And 3 kgs of banana. We don't know the cost, so I'm using the variable b here to represent the cost of 1 kg of bananas. This is 9.15. So we have to figure out the value of b. I can solve this equation to get the value of b here. So here we see there is this number 3. I can factorize the expression on the left side to take the common factor here as 3, so that I have 2.25 plus b remaining equals 9.15. I can write this expression in this form. So, and then I divide by 3 on both sides. So this is 2.25 plus b is 9.15 divided by 3. 3 goes in 3 times. There is decimal, and 3 goes in 5 times. So you need to put a 0 and a 5 here. And to have the value of b, you take away 2.25 on both sides. So b is, so let me do it here, 3.05, take away 2.25. There is 0, so this is 2, 10, take away 2 is 8, is 0. So the cost of 1 kg of banana is 0.80 pounds, or it's 80p. It wants the answer in pounds, right? Yeah. The next question is about bearings. The bearing of port A from port B is 120 degrees. Work out the bearing of port B from port A. So first we need to review what do we mean by bearings. Bearing is any angle which is taken from north. So north is like the straight line. This is the north direction. So any angle from north in clockwise direction is bearing. Clockwise is like the clock moves in this way. If it's the other way, it's anti-clockwise. So we need to consider these two things when we are talking about a bearing. Now it says that there are 2 ports, port A and B. They can be anywhere here. Now the bearing of port A from B means on the port B. So if I have the port B here, the bearing of A, so if you connect a line between A and B, the bearing for B from north, so if I draw a north here for B, so if I draw a straight line here like this is the north for the port B. From north in the clockwise direction, if you go, the angle is 120 degrees because the bearing of port A from B is 120. Now, where should be the port A? If it's directly below B, it's 180 degrees because that's a straight line. It's less than 180, so it has to be somewhere here. So maybe it's here. Well, so if this is the port A, and if I join these using a straight line again, so and then if I draw a north for port A as well, this is the north for port A, then the angle, this is 120 degrees as per the description. So the bearing of port A from B is 120. So from B, from north in the clockwise direction, if we go till port A, the angle is to be 120 degrees. So this is how you you understand what is given in the question. And then now you have to work out the bearing of port B from A. So from A, now you have to find the bearing of port B from A. So from A you have to take again as per the definition of the bearing. So from north in the clockwise direction till you reaches the port B. So this angle you have to figure out. That's the question. So how will you figure out this part of the angle? Well, we know these two nodes are parallel to each other. So if this is 120 degrees, then this angle has to be 60 degrees because they form the allied pair. They add up to 180. So if this is 60, what is the remaining angle? Because that's the total angle at a point. So they add up to 360. So 360 take away 60 gives you 300 degrees. So the answer is 300 degrees. Here are weights in kg of 15 babies born one day. Show this information in a stem and leaf diagram. So this is the information for the weights of the babies. We have to show that we have to represent the information in terms of stem and leaf diagram. So before we begin, we have to make sure that they are in an order. And we need to find a key also. So the key here, since they are decimals, I'm using like if 3.2 means, so 3/2 means 3.2 here. So that's the key I'm using. It's important that you mention the key as per the question. So the least of them here, is there anything lesser than 2.8? So well, I see the number 2.8 is the least of them, so I will write it like this, because the 2/8 as per the key means 2.8. All right, so the next is after 2.8, have we got anything? 3.2, anything lesser than 3.2? No, so 3.2 is the next. 3/2 represents 3.2. The next will be 3.4. So I just have to write 4 here because there's like 3/4. The next will be 3.5. Well, there are 2 of them, so I have to write 2 5s here. The next will be 3.8 and 3.9. Well, I missed out 3.7 here, so 7 goes in here. What else? Okay, I'm done with 3. Then we have the series for 4, 4.0. So 4, 0. Then there are 2 of them for 4.1. Then 4.5 and 4.9. We have 1, 5, 0. So we are done with the stem and leaf diagram now. Now based on this information, you have to find the range of the weights. The range is the difference of the highest value and the lowest value. So the here highest is 5 and lowest is 2.8. You need to take away 2.8 from 5. That's the 10. Take away 8 is 2. That's the 4. So it's a 5.2. Oh, I missed out 5.2. Sorry. Okay, so that just okay. Let me fix this thing. So instead of 5.0, the highest weight is 5.2 and the lowest is 2.8. So you have 4, 12, take away 8 is 4, 2.4 is the range. Well, the next question here says, here is a recipe for making 12 flapjacks. So we need all these ingredients in these amounts. Now Josiah wants to make 30 flapjacks. Work out how much of each ingredient he needs. So for 12 flapjacks, these are the amounts he needs. For 30, how much he will require? Well, I can make 30 as like 24 plus 6 is 30. Why am I using these particular numbers? Because this is 12. If I double 12, so 12 times 2 is 24. And half of 12 is 6. So if I double each of these quantities, I get for how much he requires for 24 of flapjacks. So if double of 250 is 500 grams of oat, and double of 120 is 240 grams of sugar, and 4 tablespoons of syrup. This goes in for 24 flapjacks, and half of it for 6 flapjacks will be half of 250 is 125 grams of oats, and then we have like 60 grams of butter, 60 grams of sugar, and 1 tablespoon of syrup. And now it's easy for me to add these two quantities so that I get the ingredients or the accurate measurements for each of these ingredients. So 500 plus 125, 240 plus 60, another 240 plus 60, and 4 plus 1. So that's for 30. So this is the oats will be 625 grams, and this is 300 grams. This also is 300, and there is 5 tablespoons of syrup. All right. The next is expand and simplify this expression. So we have to times every term here outside. There is a plus sign in between, so we do the same thing for the other term as well here. So going on with the first term here, 5x plus 5 6 is 30, and then plus 2 7s is 14 minus 2x. So we get these terms when we expand these, expand the brackets, and then we collect the like terms here. So we have 5x, take away 2x to have 3x, and 30 plus 14 is 44, right? So the answer is 3x plus 44. Next question is factorize fully 9y square minus 15y. So we first take the numbers and find its HCF. The HCF of 9 and 15 is, I think that's the 3. The common factor is 3 here. And from the letters, we can take out y as a common letter. And what remains now? 9y squared divided by 3y. So you have a 3y remaining. 15y divided by 3y is a 5 remaining. So the answer is 3y times 3y minus 5. So when you multiply out when you expand this term, you should get back this one. So that's 3 3s is 9y squared, 3 5s is 15y. So the answer is right. Write down the value of 2 raised to 0. Any number raised to 0 gives me the answer 1. This is as per the index law. But then a should not be 0 here. This is the restriction. But other than 0, any other number raised to 0 gives me the answer 1. So the answer for this 2 raised to 0 will be 1. Eon cycled 44 kilometers in 2 hours and 12 minutes. Work out his average speed. Your answer should be in kilometers per hour. So we have the distance and the time in terms of hours and minutes. So first we need to figure out how much is this 12 minutes equivalent to in terms of hours. So how would you convert minutes into hours? You divide it by 60 because 1 hour has got like 60 minutes. So 12 divided by 60 is 1/5. It's 1/5 of an hour, which is like 0.2 in terms of a decimal. So 2 hours and 12 minutes will be 2.2 hours. Because 2 hours and 12 minutes is 0.2 hours. So when I add them together, I get 2.2 hours. And the distance is 44. So the speed is distance divided by time. Distance is 44, divide by 2.2. We see there is a decimal in the denominator. If you want to get rid of the decimal in the denominator, you need to times the numerator by 10. So you have 440 over 22. So this is like 11 twos is 22, 11 fours is 44. So there's a 0. 2 goes in 20. So the answer is 20 kilometers per hour is the speed. The next question is about a scatter graph. It shows the stopping distances for some cars traveling at different speeds. So we have stopping distances on the y-axis and the speeds given on the x-axis. Here we see like each of them is like 1 unit on the x-axis and on the y-axis as well. Each small box represents 1 unit. And the points are being marked here. Let me make it a slightly smaller so we can see the entire graph. Well, so what's the question? Here it says, what type of correlation does the scatter graph shows? So the correlation here, it means the relationship between the two variables on the x and the y axis. So here we see any speed, if the speed increases, how is the stopping distance changes? So here we see if the speed increases, the stopping distance also gets larger. So like most of the points, they are trending in this direction. So I would say the correlation is positive. And so if one variable increases, the other increases, it's a positive correlation. Well, we can't say if it's a strong or weaker one, but we just mention it's positive. Another car is traveling at a speed of 55 mph. Estimate the stopping distance for this car. You need to estimate the distance based on the points, how they are trending. 55 mph is the speed, right? So for 55, it's between 50 and 60, somewhere here. What would you estimate for the stopping distance? Well, I see it can be somewhere here, like maybe like 62 meters, because as per the points here, I'm estimating when I draw a line of best fit, based on that line of best fit, I can say that it can be around 62 or somewhere here 65 maybe. So I'm going with 62 meters. Here this is an estimate, so like your answer can be slightly different from mine, and that's totally okay as far as it's between the scale, like plus or minus 5 meters difference is accepted here. Sanar says it would not be sensible to use the scatter graph to estimate the stopping distance of a car traveling at a speed of 10 mph because the estimate would not be reliable. Is Sanar correct? You must give a reason. So he says that it would not be sensible to use this graph to estimate the stopping distance for a speed of 10 mph. For 10 mph, we cannot estimate what could be the stopping distance because it's like out of the scope of the graph. So for something, we cannot say what will be the stopping distance here because we cannot see what's happening in that point. So is he right? Yes, I would say he is right because it is 10 mph is out of the scope of graph. So if we try to find an answer for it, it would be not reliable. So any answer would be not reliable. So it's out of the scope of the graph, so we cannot estimate the stopping distance. Well, any one statement will be sufficient for you just have to say yes and give one supporting statement. It's for 1 mark after all, okay? Moving on to the next question. So A, B, C, and D are 4 containers. Water is poured into the containers at a constant rate. The sketch graphs below show the depth of water in each container t seconds after the water starts to be poured. And now you have to match each graph to the correct container. Okay, so we have these containers and each one of them have got specific shape. Now when you pour water, what's happening here? Like how is the depth of the water and the time related? Because in the graph we see we are comparing these two variables, depth and time. So normally speaking, like when the depth when the base of the container is like wide, if it's wide, that means more water can be poured and it will take like so if it's wide, it takes more time for you to fill, right? More time to fill water. And if it's the narrow one, like in this case, if the base is narrow, the water gets poured quickly and it's like it takes less time to fill. Right? This is the general understanding we have. But depending on the shapes we have here, the first one says, first one looks like the base and the height is constant, like there is no change. So if the water gets poured at a constant rate here, so which graph represents that information? Here I would say the constant rate, this is a straight line. The graph will be like a straight line. So as time increases, the depth also increases here. So first, the container A, I'm going with graph 3. For the next container here, the base is slightly wider and then it gets narrow and then again it gets wide at the end. So this is narrow, sorry, this is wide. Wide at the bottom, then it gets narrow and then wide at the top. So which of these graphs do you think will match this information? So if it's wide, it takes more time to fill, right? So more time, so this is less, this is 0. Here is slightly more time and then it gets lesser as it goes up and then again it widens at the top. So this graph 4, matches this the container B. So this is graph 4 because it's the time is little longer in the beginning and then it goes narrow here. So and then again it's getting more time again, right? The next container C is like in the beginning it takes it's narrow here at the bottom, so it takes so if it's less time in the beginning, it has to take less time and then it goes on, like if it's wide, it takes more time to fill in then. So in the beginning there is less time and then it goes on, like it's like an exponential one, it goes on at a larger value. So I'm going with graph 1 for container C, and then we have container D and graph 2 remaining. You can just write in there or you can see how what happens here. So the container in here, the bottom is slightly like narrow and then it becomes wide and then narrow at the top. So it's like the opposite of graph 4. So first the time is lesser and then it gets larger and then it's getting a little small, like for narrow it's lesser time. So it's graph 2 here. The diagram shows a rectangular wall 10 meters by 3.3 meters, 10 by 3.3. A rectangular door in the wall is 2 meters by 1.5 meters. Zach is going to mix yellow paint and blue paint in the ratio 1:4 to paint the wall. He will not paint the door. Zach assumes 1 liter of paint will cover 10 meters square. So first we have to understand how he's going to paint. He needs to paint this entire wall except the door. So he needs to take out this portion from the wall. So if he finds the area of the wall and you find the area of the door and you take away that area, That's the remaining area he has to paint. And he assumes 1 liter of paint will cover 10 meters square. Yellow paint is sold in 1 liter tins costing 4.75 each. Blue paint is sold in 1 liter tins costing 5.5 each. Zach has 20 pounds to buy paint. Does Zach have enough money to buy all the paint he needs? Well, there's a lot of information here. So let's not get overwhelmed here. Let's start from the beginning. So we have to first find the area of the wall here. It's a rectangle. It's a straightforward thing. 10 by 3.3. So 10 by 3.3 is 33 meters square is the area of the wall. And the area of the door is 2 times 1.5, which is 3 meters square. He has to exclude this part when he's painting. So 33 take away 3 is 30 meters square. So this is the region he needs to paint. He needs to paint an area of 30 meters square. And he requires a liter to paint 10 meters. That's his assumption. So if 1 liter is required to paint 10 meters square, he actually has to paint 30 meters square. So he will require how much of the paint? So he will need 3 liters. So from 10 to 30, he has to do like times 3 here. So he will need 3 liters of paint. But he needs to mix 2 different colors, yellow and blue, in the ratio 1 to 4. So he has the paints yellow and blue in the ratio 1 to 4. He has a total of 3 liters. So how much of each of these paints does he require? So that means he needs to divide 3 by 4 plus 1 is 5. That's a 0.6. So he needs 0.6 liters of yellow paint and 0.6 times 4 for blue, because it's like 4 parts of blue. So that's a 4, 6, 24, 2.4 liters of blue he requires. Now he doesn't get the paint in terms of decimals. Like he has to buy at least 1 tin to have like yellow paint. So for how many tins does he require for yellow paint? He needs 1 tin. And for a blue, it's 2.4 liters. So he has to buy 3 tins here. Right? So 2 liters will be for 2 tins, and 0.4 liters he need to buy another tin for it. So how much total cost he requires? So he needs 4.75 plus 5.5 times 3. So that's a 5 5s 25, 3s is 15, 16.5. So he needs to add 16.5 to he needs to add 16.5 to 4.75 to get the total cost of both the colors. So there's 5 here, 7, 12, 10, 11, 21.25. So he needs to have 21.25 pounds to have the paint he requires to paint the wall. But he has only 20 pounds. Does he have enough money? No. He needs 21.25 pounds to paint the wall. Zach's assumption is wrong, and 1 liter of paint will cover more than 10 meters square. How might this affect your answer to part A? Now his assumption that he's saying 1 liter will be sufficient to paint 10 meters square. He's saying that that's wrong, and he can use like more paint. He can use less paint to cover this much area. So that means to cover 30 meters square, he will require still lesser paint. So how will this affect the answer? Zach will need lesser than 3 liters of paint, but we don't know how much, like what's the exact value he will need. So we cannot say for sure will his amount like 20 pounds will be sufficient or not. We cannot comment anything on that, but we will say that yes, he needs less of the paint than he's assuming, but we cannot say anything about the amount he requires, about the cost, because we don't have sufficient information to judge that. All right, the next question says the diagram shows two quarter circles with the same center. So there is the center, the quarter circle, the smaller one and the larger one. And the radius of the smaller one is 3 centimeters. The radius of the larger quarter circle is 4 centimeters. Work out the shaded area of the shaded section. So this shaded part you need to figure out. To find only the area of the shaded part, what we can do is we can find the area of the larger quarter circle, find the area of the smaller quarter circle, and then subtract them. So we get only the shaded region. So first we will start with the larger quarter circle. So we find the area of large quarter circle. Well, we know the area of a circle is pi r square. Here r is 4, so pi times 4 square. Since it's a quarter circle, you need to divide it by 4. So that's 4 fourths is 16 pi over 4. Well, I'm not going to simplify anything here because it wants the answer in terms of pi. So let it be like that. And then area of the smaller quarter circle is pi times the radius is 3 square over 4, which is 9 pi over 4. And then when I subtract them, 16 pi over 4, take away 9 pi over 4. So the denominator is the common one. 16 take away 9 is 7 pi. So that's the answer. That's the area of the shaded region. Moving on to the next question. The line L is shown on the grid. Find an equation for the line. Give your answer in the form of y is mx plus c. So the equation here represents, this is the equation of a straight line where m is the gradient of the line, the slope of the gradient, and c tells you about the y-intercept, where the line crosses the y-axis. So here we see the line is touching or the crossing the y-axis at -2. So the y-intercept here is -2. We have to find the gradient. So to find the gradient, we can choose any two proper points on the line. So maybe I'm going with this point and on the intercept itself, this point. So what are these 2 points? This is like 4 across, and we can do like go on with this slightly different approach. So I can use this one. So I can make this like a right angled triangle. Well, I find the rise over run. So here we have, so each of these on the y-axis, each unit is 2. We have like 2 units for each of these boxes. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So we have 12 divided by, across we have, each of them is like 1 unit. So we have 4. So 12 over 4 is 3. But then we see the line is sloping downwards here, right? So that the slope will be that will be a negative slope here. So the answer is yeah. 2, 4, 6. No, we start from here, right? So this is -3. So the slope is -3 and the y-intercept is -2. So the answer is minus 3x minus 2. So substituting these values in the equation, replace m with minus 3 and c with negative 2. So I have the equation like y is minus 3x. Actually, it's like this, minus 3x plus of minus 2. So when there is these two signs residing next to each other, then minus wins. So we write it in this way. So this is the final answer. The next question says it's given that the cos 60 degrees is half. Work out the value of x. So for this right triangle, we see for the angle 60 degrees, this is the adjacent side and this is the hypotenuse, and it's given the cos. So we are using the cos of the angle here. So cos 60 is the adjacent over the hypotenuse. Cos 60 is half, so we replace this with half. This is x over 15. So what's the value of x here? We times with 15 on both sides. So we have x, so this goes off. So 15, half of 15 is 7.5. X is 7.5 centimeters. Next question says there are these three ratios, A to B, B to C, B to D, and C to D. Well, we can write C to D as D to C also, like by flipping the ratio. So A to B is 2/3, B to D is 2/5, and C to D is 2:1. So D to C will be 1:2 when I flip the ratio. So now I have written them. I have to find A to C. So to find A to C, first we need to get rid of or combine all these ratios here. So starting with the first two ratios, how can I combine them? A to B is 2:3 and B to D is 2:5. So to combine these two, I need to get a common term here for B. So how can I get common term for, there is a 3 and there is a 2 here. So if I times this with 3 and this with 2, this ratio, like this ratio times 2 and this ratio times 3, then I get a common term here. So 2 2s is 4, 2 3s is 6. So A to B's equivalent form is 4 to 6. B to D's equivalent form, when we times it by 3, we get 6 to 3 5 is 15. Now you see there is this common term. So A to B to D, I can write it as 4 to 6 to 15. Right? This is A to B to D. Now I need to combine this and this ratio also, right? So we have B to D. Let me start again here. It's 2 to 5. No, I can use the previous one here, sorry. So using now D to C, it's 1 to 2, right? I need to combine these two parts of the ratio, 15 and there is 1 here. So what can I do here? So to combine them, I need to do this times 1 and this ratio times 15, right? So that the part D gets like a common number. So this will be 4 to 6 to 15 and this will be 15 to 30. 15 times 2 is 30. Now you see the part for D, the ratio for D is like the common one. So now I have 4 to 6 to 15 to 30. Now it wants you to find A to C. So this was A and this is C. I just need to write this as a ratio. So 4 to 30. Well, I can simplify this. So this goes in 2 and 15. So 2 to 15 is the final answer in its simplest form. Well, we finished the paper. I hope I tried my best to make it as simple as I can. Just comment and give your suggestions on how I can improve this and what you're looking forward in the next videos. And stay connected and make sure you subscribe and like the video. Thank you so much.